the camera on, Mr. Marsh.
Put the camera on.
Put the
How about
fucking
now?
I see
camera
it.
on.
Now I see Weekend Craic
Oh yeah.
with
Okay,
the
so let
Bearded
me
Oleg and Fen.
wake up, wake up, wake up, little Susie, wake up. No, don't do that, Marsh.
Don't do that.
You
man,
know
no.
what's happening? Oh, you know what's happening with the Bearded Fan. It's the coffee, man.
Yeah. Oh.
It's the greasy burger fingers, is what it
started.
is.
Okay, so how do I get this thing? What does it say here? Turn off the automatically go live setting to start your video now. Where's the
go live video?
So it would be under settings somewhere. Just they changed this damn thing. Like every time I look, it's different. Stream, latency, end live. Oh yeah, wait. Embedded video. That's fine. Broadcast, unpublished. Where's the go live automatically?
Oh, we're live on YouTube.
Live automatically at scheduled time. Okay. We live on?
YouTube.
Are we live on YouTube?
We're live on the tube.
Okay, we're live on Facebook as well. Ah, there we go.
You see, it's all working. It's all working perfectly, actually.
Yeah. For a change. Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So should we just start?
Yeah.
I think we should just start.
Should
Okay.
we, I've heard this before.
Is it time to change the intro music?
No.
We're like on
No.
episode 66 and
Oh, it's Hoedown Saturday. Every week is a Hoedown Saturday. Yo-wee! Yeah, you love it. It's a bunch of French people. Can you see? Hang on. Oh, it's for your own safety. It's censored. It's to protect the innocent. No, I swear all day long in my team's calls. You do know I'm not on. Do you realize that it's only you two streaming? My face is not on there. You got the wrong background. I mean, this is good. I mean, I'm not the most photogenic, so I'm fine with this.
To fix this. We need to fix this.
Oh no, there I am. Oh, great.
that was an ice cream moment.
Look older than I used to a week ago.
Well, at least you're in the house.
You know what they say. You know what they say. It's like 60s is new 50s. I'm just messing with you guys. 50s is new 40s, man.
Thank you for that. Funky
And
music.
40s.
Dude. I've just had a flashback.
I'm gonna stop here.
Yeah, please do. I just had a flashback.
Ow. Did I hurt?
Remember when we were back in the day when we used to use cassettes, right?
Audio cassettes.
Audio cassettes.
The tapes that used to get all messed up when we left them in the car.
Yes. And like we played them so often that they would like
That's
stretch.
stretchy noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had a flashback to. Didn't you have the soundtrack to Good Morning Vietnam?
Yeah.
Or Robin Williams.
Good morning,
morning,
Vietnam.
Hey, I'm Adrian Cronin.
600. What does the O stand for? Oh my God, it's
It's
early.
early.
Speaking of early, Yeah, I've got that all in my memory now. I don't need the tape.
Stop it, Hannah, you bitch.
I think it
Remember
would be
that-
cool
Hannah,
to set
the
that
Wicked
soundtrack
Witch
for
of
cell phone
North.
ringtone.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, and like, like he says, thank you for playing that funky music.
Mm.
Yeah. Anyway, I just had a flashback. Seeing that we were talking about age and that kind of
Do you know
stuff.
that
But-
soundtrack is actually quite epic, and every time I hear a song from that soundtrack, I go straight into that "Good Morning Vietnam" lyrics,
Yeah.
and I can't help myself for half an hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
The purpose
yeah.
of a man is to love,
Love a woman, and the purpose of a woman is to love a man. So come on, stop. We could no stop.
It
Wow,
started
wow,
long
wow.
ago in the Garden of
Garden
Eden.
of Eden, and no.
Adam
moving
said
on.
to Eve, baby, you're for
You're
me.
for me.
Oh, I love it. Because, I always think of these people, when they talk about, they make all these movie references and everything. I'm like,
Yeah.
geez, like, how do the guys do that? And then I remember, but hang on a second, when I was like in my late teens, early 20s,
Yeah.
you were like, there were these cult movies that you watched, like
Yeah,
Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Good Morning Vietnam and everything. And like, you had watched it so many times that you, like,
You
literally
just
could.
remember.
Exactly. You could
Yeah.
be like, like you knew the whole script, kind of thing. And also like Monty Python and all that stuff.
So-
we were always.
So talking about that, right? Like your guys' age group, right? So what would be the cult classics for you,
What, like movie wise?
movie-wise? Yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, like we had this question the other day. I was like, I'm a Ferris Bueller's Day Off kind of guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was my like,
I
because
think the classics though is something that you could watch anytime, no matter how much is dated.
yeah.
No, but like
Alright.
for your generation, what would be like the common like golden thread that runs through like not just your favorite, but like
I think a lot of those like sort of movies that spoke to us at the age that we were at. So like
yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise in Risky Business, Weird Science, which was those two geeks that
Science.
remember that.
I
didn't they?
watched
Like-
that about a year ago. It is so dated now.
Yeah, I'm sure. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I'm trying to think of something else. What?
I mean, there's some really shoddy ones out there, like, but they're still classic to me, like Big Trouble in Little China. I mean, it's got some comedy moments.
Yeah.
I mean, it's quite rubbish to watch, but it's got some great dialogue.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I like, and I mean, think about all the actors that were popular at that time, like Rob Lowe, Matthew Broderick. All those guys. Even what was that guy that unfortunately committed suicide? Somebody Hoffman.
Oh, Hoffman, yes.
What was his name? Somebody. He had like a double barrel name. The guy with the ginger hair.
I remember that guy.
You know who I'm talking about.
He was in.
Did he actually commit suicide?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
What's it called? With
Yeah.
he died during the making of that. What was it, trilogy? Mockingjay.
Oh, the Hunter Games.
Hunger Games. thank
Hunger
you.
Games. Hunter Games.
Hunter
Yeah, I
Games.
got
We'll get there eventually.
Eventually.
Like everyone's going, hey guys, gotta up your game there, dude. Yeah, I forgot to take my medication before the episode. Get my memory going.
Did you
It's
guys
okay.
have your standard takeaway coffees and burgers today?
Takeaway coffees on there.
Yeah, but the burger,
The burgers might come afterwards.
Yeah, we do homemade burgers now because they just
Oh, it's
taste better.
Amazing.
They taste better.
amazing.
Taste
But
better.
like just going back, like generational cult classics, like I think for me it would be definitely like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking
Oh
Barrels.
yeah,
Number
yeah,
one,
that
right?
kind of stuff. Yeah.
But that's the thing, though.
Fight Club.
But the thing is, if you watch that in 10 years' time, maybe even now, they're already a bit dated. The point
Yeah.
is,
They're dated
are
a
they
lot.
classic from that era? Because
That
they
you could
still
watch
watch
any time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll
yeah,
watch
yeah.
Fight Club.
And I would say
anytime.
Fight Club and all of those Guy Ritchie movies, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
those
the Guy Ritchie movies don't really date. Maybe
No.
just the cell phones that change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, talking about that, I mean, there were also things like Full Metal Jackets. Yeah. So, I mean, those are also hardcore movies, eh?
I think my first one, and like most likely the most classic one that I'll always like go back to, is Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean Tarantino movies. Again, I don't think those are the kind of movies that really date because of the style of movie that he's got. So I mean, like if you're watching Glorious Bastards,
Yeah.
I mean that movie's not going to date because I mean we're set in the Second World War. You know that's not going to date. I don't think. Like Reservoir Dogs, we spoke about it recently. I watched it again. You know, like I have to admit that I had this thing in my head, and when I watched it again, it wasn't as good as I remember it. But I still think it's a great movie. I love Reservoir Dogs.
But the thing is with Reservoir Dogs, right? You just need to remember this. Like, it's not about cinematography,
No.
right? It's about the story and how that story is told.
Yeah. And like Django Unchained. I mean,
Yeah.
I dig that movie. Yeah. Really enjoyed that movie.
But I think
Yeah.
Django Unchained is going to become like a cult classic, but for, I don't know, for younger generation
Yeah.
than us.
But
like
I
than
just
me.
love-
You know, it's going to be like a cult classic for most likely, what is it, Gen Zs?
Yeah, probably, yeah. But I mean, the thing is
Zs.
that whatever. I don't know. What are you? Generation? You millennial?
I'm X. I'm just on the edge of X.
But you're a millennial, aren't you? You're classified as a millennial
Am
because
I?
you were born in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
But like early 80s.
Yeah, but okay. So just on the Tarantino movies, what I love about Tarantino movies, and it's like when I watched *Inglourious Basterds*,
Yeah.
was first of all the like first like scene. You know, it's just like slow. It's like a slow burn thing,
Yeah.
and you're like so consumed by it. Like you like immersed. Well, I was like immersed in it. I was like, what?
Sucks you in and settles
What's
you
going
down,
on
and
here?
then
Like, and the people are
slaps
under
you
the
around the
floor
face a bit.
there, under the floorboards, and he's drinking his glass of milk,
Yeah.
and he's asking the guy questions. And then, you know, like the whole thing happens, and the chick runs off, and he's like, he's going to shoot her, and then he doesn't. And then she like runs off. And then the movie changes, and he's like, okay, well, like, what was that? And then you
What's
forget
that?
about, then you forget about that scene.
Yeah.
Right? And then it goes off and it does something else. And then right at the end of the movie, it comes back and hooks up. And then you understand exactly
What was
the
going
connection was.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
fuck. Just, you know, I love a movie like that where like it's unpredictable. Like you don't know what it's going to do. And then it's like that thing at the end where it's like everything falls into place. And then for days afterwards, you're going, fuck, that was amazing. Holy
Yeah.
cow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what movie has been like that for you? Like we've watched a movie and they're like 3-4 days later, you're still thinking about that movie and going, wow, that's like, yes,
So
that's
in terms of recent stuff, like I have to admit, like
Tenant.
Tenet got me hooked. I watched
Well,
Tenet.
he's,
about
he's still trying to
predictability.
figure out how it all worked.
Yeah. I watched Tenet like maybe 3 times.
Okay.
Like I watched it in the cinema, which was an
You didn't get it
amazing
the first time round.
experience. But then I was like, no, I need to go back to watch it because Nolan is just an amazing director, and
The Usual Suspects for me.
and like
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Listen, I'm bad at remembering movies though.
really.
But it's so weird because it's like, you know, you're talking about The Usual Suspects and I just like I know that was a good movie, but I just can't place it. You know what I mean?
You serious?
It was understated though, because I remember going to the movies and there was like all these options, and then I saw the poster for The Usual Suspects. Didn't know anything about it, but it was the only thing, and I was just like, okay, I could watch that, and I'm not fussed because it was just a lineup, right? That was the poster. I'm like, yeah, okay. Not heard anything about it. Didn't want to watch a Disney film. I was like, I'll go and watch it. Mind
Yeah.
blown. Gee, I had to go back 2 days later because I was still trying to figure out how it all strung together.
Yeah.
What?
Gen Y.
What
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah,
How that happened? Hang on.
I think
Rewind.
I think I watched The Usual Suspects like 5 times, like maybe around about then, and like I still enjoy like watching it because I mean, like the way that story is told as well, I think is just really cool. The way that it was just all tied in together. Kaiser Soze.
He's a son of a-
Kevin Spacey is an amazing actor. Like I really like. Wow, Kevin Spacey is an amazing actor. It's like afterwards I start watching his stuff. I think afterwards I went to see American Beauty, which was
Yeah.
like very different type of film.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I
But it
remember
was
that
really
one.
cool. It was really cool. Like I really enjoyed it.
But I mean, okay, how do you feel about Kevin Spacey now that you know that he was a bit of a naughty boy on
Dude,
with
it's
this
like
whole Me Too kind of thing? I mean,
Dude.
do you boycott his movies now? Do you cancel culture? I mean, do you recommend that all his movies get pulled from all these streaming services and like Harvey Weinstein? I mean,
I
what
didn't
do-
even know Kevin Spacey was a naughty boy. As well. Like, this is the first time I'm finding that out.
Okay, coming out on this episode.
But like, can I be honest with you? Like, I generally don't follow news. The only thing that like I try to follow is like a critical stuff.
yeah,
You know, it's like the world is ending tomorrow. Okay, like maybe you just need to take a chill pill.
There's a global
no, well,
pandemic
no, but
going.
I mean, no, but this is the question that I'm asking: is that, I mean, he's a good actor.
He's an
He's
amazing
been in
actor.
great movies. He's been in great
House
series,
of
House of Cards. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. What's I mean, like now, okay, the guy's got, like, you know, he's done some dodgy stuff outside of movies, right? What's I mean, what do we do about that? Do we say that, look, we separate the person from the characters and the acting and the movies that he's been in? In other words, we can say to him as the person, listen, dude, you're not cool. We don't like what you do in your spare time, etc. But listen, great actor, great movie.
Look,
What's
I don't know. Like,
what's
my,
your view on
my perspective on this, right? I'm not a judge and a jury, right?
yeah,
This is not my job. It's like, although it may be very simplistic view on things in terms of like, you know, but it's really like it's not my thing to like, it's not my space to like to pull a verdict on somebody if I don't know the full story. If I
Yeah.
don't know the full story, and it's like we'll never know the full story. The full story is only known by the courts and the judges who go through these
We'll have
cases.
to wait for the movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. To know what the full story was.
But it's like no. But seriously, it's like
Based on true events.
Yeah, based on true
the-
events.
There's often like
Dramatization.
you know allegations that come up, and some of them are true, and some of them are not.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's like how do you know which
Fake
one?
news.
Which one is? It's like once it goes through the court system, once it goes through the due process, although it's
Yeah.
not perfect, right? But
Yeah.
this is the best we have, you know, in terms
But
of.
I mean, but I still want to know: do we then now disregard all his movies that even if he's found guilty of what he's been accused of, do
No,
we
I-
like disregard all of his movies and say, well, I mean, or do you say, listen, shit, dude, great actor?
What? Yeah. But I mean, it's like you can't just like erase everything. Like,
But I mean,
Or
look,
clean slate.
no,
Don't
but
watch
this
the
is.
movies where he plays himself rather when he plays somebody else.
Jeez, I thought you were
I
saying
mean, how
something
far
else,
do you
but
take
anyway,
this? I'm just thinking the same thing sort of happened to Mel Gibson, right?
yeah,
And his
it?
anti-Semitic marks, and there was a big outcry and boycotting of his stuff. He
Yeah.
still makes movies now. He's director-producer,
yes,
but it's very much the background. You don't see him acting anymore. Maybe he's
and
too old for
also,
that.
yeah, and also he was
But how-
accused of
how far
wife
do you take
beating,
it?
and yeah,
Yeah.
No, look, I don't know
How far-
because
do you just stop watching his movies, or do you stop watching the movies from the production, the movie house? I'm not going to watch
Yeah.
another
dude, I
film
don't,
from Disney ever again.
Yeah.
Not this is linked with Disney, but
yeah. But I mean, Kevin Spacey is an interesting one for me because of the fact that if you were to ask me to list some of the like movies that I think were amazing, like really good that I really enjoyed, Kevin Spacey's in a couple of them. One of them is The Life of David Gale, and I would put that down as one of my favorite movies, one of my best movies to watch because of the fact it was one of those movies where
so when you watch it, do you think nasty man, or are you actually engrossed in the movie
Well,
again?
look, I haven't watched that movie again, again because like I've got this picture in my mind about that movie and I'm like scared of watching it again and doing that sort of thing. So I haven't watched it, but I'd like to watch it again. But But again, you know, it's that like, am I being part of the problem by watching his movie? Because I'm asking myself, I'm processing this. What do we do about people that have been found out to do some dodgy things in their private life, sexual assault or whatever it is, or taking advantage of people in a position of power, and the fact that they have this content out there, which is a great movie. And I mean, like previously, people would ask me, okay, what's your best movie? And I put there, my best movie is Life of David Gale. Now, all of a sudden, I've taken a step back from that and say, oh, is it really right for me to say that that's one of my favorite movies? But again, then I'm thinking about it and saying,
In terms
well,
of what, like, are you afraid to be cancelled?
well,
Because
but you see, that's the problem that we have in at the moment, is that
Yeah.
you by association, you can be seen as a supporter of that person because you support their content, their movies or whatever.
yeah,
So so I mean, you do, like, you have a moment where you think, oh, is this the right thing to be doing? What are the consequences of being not outspoken, but being open about, oh, okay, I think he's a great actor.
dude.
Meanwhile,
like, I think it's like you just need to accept that like nobody's a saint, yeah.
yeah,
like-
well, yeah,
It's like it's just a matter of like especially in the movie industry, there's a lot of dodgy stuff goes on. Sometimes it comes up, sometimes it stays under wraps. It's like you know,
yeah.
and it's like, do you stop enjoying art because the artist has done some bad stuff?
Well, this is the thing. Like, I mean, how far do you take it? Like Lester says, I mean, like, where do you draw the line? And I'm processing it in my mind because I'm observing how, the cancel culture and how people are, like at one stage, I don't know if you've ever watched this series on, I think it's on Hulu. It's about, there was that woman that was involved in Scientology. There's a series about her
Coming out.
coming out, and like distancing herself. She's also an actress. She's an actor. Sorry, she's an actor, and she was on that one of these sitcoms. What was it? It was the name escapes me. It's like
Never
I
heard
think
of
it's
it.
old age. You can't remember anything
no,
anymore.
yeah, that's true.
Both of
But
us
anyway,
have
so
done
she
it now.
was on there. But I mean, obviously, Tom Cruise is like he's one of the big guys in Scientology, and I mean they've used the celebrities to promote
Market.
to market their thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, what do I think of Tom Cruise as an actor? The fact that he's
Are you not
involved
gonna
in
watch? Are you not gonna watch?
watch Top Gun? Yeah. No, but there was a moment. I'll be honest. There was a moment where I thought, okay, you know what? I'm not going to watch Tom Cruise's movies anymore.
You serious?
After I watched the Scientology thing,
Did that moment pass?
it did.
Okay.
No, well, because I took a step back and I thought, okay, but hang on a second. The fact that he's involved in Scientology and all that kind of stuff, does that take away from the fact that he makes good movies and he's a good actor?
No.
No, it just annoys me because he doesn't age. So
Yeah.
I have different issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure like in 20 years' time, Tom Cruise will look younger.
look
than
younger.
me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit on the fence.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would
on
bring
that.
religion into it because this is about this is their work. I mean, you don't know the religious backgrounds of all the actors and all the movies you watch.
That's true. That's true.
So
But I mean, it's. I suppose it's because Scientology has got some like really dodgy sort of practices that I suppose infringe on people's human rights and all that kind of stuff. So like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. When's Top Gun coming out? I promise you, after Top Gun, I'm going to boycott all his movies.
But think about it. Think about it, right? It's like, what are movies? Movies is just an expression of art,
Yeah.
right? You can basically say movie artists and actors like artists. They expressing themselves through the camera lens, and letting us, obviously enjoy their art. It's like, if you take it back to like to the classical artists, like 16th century, 17th century, do you think those guys didn't do any bad stuff by today's standards?
Yeah, no.
I mean,
They were movie stars though.
Exactly.
okay, they were not movie stars, but
But they were
you know,
celebs
take the
in their
great
time for
painters.
different reasons.
Take the great painters. Do you think those guys were not like involved in some stuff that would carry a life sentence by today's standards?
Yeah. Yeah. And by yesteryear standards, public stoning it in the
Yeah.
market square. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, we
We didn't get to an end because we still don't know. I'm not sure I apply it because I watch it for the entertainment purpose, and it's not just the one actor that makes that production.
Yeah.
that is true.
I mean, yes,
that is true.
it's more going on here. There's a lot more people behind the scenes than you see on the screen.
Yeah.
Sounds, yeah.
That, and I also like movies like Seven and bit of LA Confidential. So yeah, Spacey's been in a lot of things I like. So what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Mhm.
What was the movie where he was the negotiator? What was that movie
Oh, I
called?
remember that was with was it with Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
that one. That was also really good.
That was one. Yeah, that's and I think his like, you know, his character's surname was Sabian in there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, moving along from movies, something we spoke about recently was the Microsoft and their security breach, where a lot of information had been made available, not made available, but it had been hacked.
Yeah.
Right. It's happened again,
You serious?
and more specifically in South Africa. Yeah. So Microsoft's site for free Office 365 exposed details of 22,000 South Africans.
Wow.
And basically there was this thing, Mahalo by Microsoft, was a site that provided students and pupils in South Africa with free Microsoft apps. And it's turned out that 22,000 users' details were exposed. So, I mean, is this going to become a common thing, you know? I mean, what do you... I mean, because I don't think I've put, like, personal, like, sensitive data on my OneDrive as an example.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you know, like, we're in a world now where, hey, listen, you know, I've got this cloud storage facility. I mean, it's so cool. It synchronizes with my machine and
All your
my
devices.
phone and all my devices, and I can access them anywhere. And, you know, like, if, you know, unfortunately someone breaks into my house and steals my desktop, you know, all my stuff is backed up.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's on the cloud. So, but I mean, like, you know, what does one do to secure your sort of like data so that when this kind of thing happens, that it doesn't, that you're not exposed in some way or another? You might have some banking information on there. You might have some copy of your ID document or copy of your utility bill or something like that on there. I mean,
yeah.
you take those two things together. I mean, you know, you can steal someone's identity with a bit of manipulation of those documents, and I don't know.
But it's more than
what are
that.
your
Can you
thoughts
imagine
on
if somebody backs up like sensitive photographs and stuff like that? You know?
Oh yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like
Ask all the
obviously,
celebrities.
yeah. It's like obviously once you tie the ID to the person, you know, like you know who that is.
Yeah.
There's a potential for blackmail and stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like, it's
How
really
did-
hard.
How do they know it's 22,000 people? How do they know that so quickly?
I would imagine, let's say they've got 22,000 users that are using that service, and I suppose there was a breach and it's all of them. I don't know. It doesn't say how they know that. Let's see if the article says partnership. Ding 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 ding. Yeah, no, it doesn't really say. But yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, How do they know that? I would. Yeah.
I think basically it's like if that information was taken, let's just say, right? It's most likely going to be sold and used for marketing purposes. It's unlikely that somebody will actually sniff through the entire data to actually find critical pieces of information linking users to the actual people and stuff like that, unless it's more sophisticated than that.
All right. Now I'm going to say what I normally say in these circumstances, which is this is the only one we know of. Sorry. What are the ones that we don't know of?
Yeah.
You know, information is being leaked all the time, all over the place, and we only hear about bits of it.
It is true.
It's a bigger problem.
But I mean, the thing is, as people that, let's say, are not in the sort of like IT world, so like maybe you and I will because of the kind of work that we do, we'll hear of these kind of incidents, right? And Oleg in his case, because he's like techie and all that kind of stuff, he might be getting fed these kind of stories on his social media or whatever. But I mean, think about the people that are not, they're just using these services, but they don't see or hear about these, even the ones that are spoken about, they don't even see that. It doesn't even cross their mind that they need to be taking precautions to secure their data. Oh, there's this new facility and it's for free. I can back up all my stuff and it's
how cool
available.
is this? Yeah.
You need to understand, right, as a user, right? And there's only two industries that basically classifies their customers as users.
Yeah.
One is software industry and the second one are drug dealers.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because the two are pretty similar. Once you get hooked in a certain ecosystem and a certain software, it's like you become a user.
You have to keep going back.
You become a user.
You become a user, but like there's several layers to this problem, right? One is that like why are you getting this for free, right? It's like your information is most likely passively being mined anyway. And it's like it's somewhere in the fine print that, most likely not sensitive stuff, but certain character traits about your certain data analytics code is definitely running on the background.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like that's a given. So, and the second layer of the problem is, there's other aspects, like in terms of people actually hacking the service and just encrypting the drive and holding your hostages to that encryption.
Yeah, no, it's true.
And I mean, think about it this way, right? Like 20 years ago, to bring like a country like UK to its knees, it's like you really needed like a superpower to actually pull some giant strings to actually make it happen. These days, it can be done by a 16-year-old with a $2,000 laptop.
Yes. And it's been done.
I mean, think about it. It's like just got some really good technical skills, good laptop, understanding of the systems, that's it.
Yeah.
Bring the national electricity grid to its knees, and that's.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the world that we live in.
No, exactly.
I mean, example was like, remember we were discussing the U.S. oil pipeline.
Yeah.
Literally brought down to his knees.
Yeah, exactly.
By a group of hackers.
Yeah, exactly.
Told them, pass, or, it's like, this is it. I mean, this is the world that we live in, and this is going to become a lot more common.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think definitely sort of like you're saying, attacks on countries are not going to be
there's no money
sort of
in
like
that.
military.
There's no money in that, really.
Yeah.
Like think about it this way: these hackers, they basically just want to get a quick payday.
Yeah.
I mean, like once you basically launch an attack on a country like UK, for example, say Germany, then you become really like high target on international radar, and these guys will try to obviously avoid that because that's terrorism,
cyber terrorism. Yeah.
cyber terrorists. But if they basically hack a bank and hold a bank hostage, that's.
Yeah, you know what always scares me? The thing is,
Yeah.
like, you'll get the guys that will hack and do something, like make it known that they've done this. They'll be ransomware and they'll demand some money, or, they will hack in and they will take data and they'll expose that data, WikiLeaks or whatever it might be. But what about those ones that are not interested in the sort of like instant gratification of admitting that they've hacked into something, but they do some sort of hacking or whatever, but it's below the radar, like no one knows about it, and slowly but surely they're chipping away at something, whatever it might be.
But there has
You're
to
like
be
skimming
some sort of
something off the top.
There have to be
People
some.
have different motivations. Some
Yeah,
people
but that's what
like
I'm
the
saying.
glory of
It's like,
being known that they can do it. Others just self-satisfied that they've managed to do something under the
Yeah.
radar.
yeah. So I think I suppose when we can talk about the psychology behind someone that does this kind of thing. I mean, a lot of the time they would want some sort of recognition for what they've done. But I'm more scared of the people that are quite happy to fly under the radar, install some sort of malware or something like that that's farming data or whatever it is, and they're then reusing that data to skim something off somewhere without anyone knowing about it. That's what scares me the most.
I think those are like 1%.
No, fair enough.
Those
enough.
are like really 1%. Those guys are really hard to catch. I think most people would be involved in getting paid quickly and not get caught this type of business.
Yeah.
So I mean, these ransomware groups, like I read an interesting article, I think it was on Vice, about the attack on that financial company based in US that basically encrypted all the point of sale devices
Oh yes.
of their customers.
Oh, who was that? Which chain was that?
Kaseya. It was a Kaseya hack, right? So I watched an interesting podcast on that, and I mean, these guys as hackers is like we just want to get paid, like just pay us what we're asking. It's not a lot in consideration of how much money you're making. Patch the flaws that allowed us to get in, and let's just go our separate ways. And I mean, these guys get paid like $500,000 US dollars per job. I mean, it's $500,000 like in the cryptocurrency equivalent, right?
Yeah.
So like it's $500,000 per job, and the job is like for them 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's
just about money. It's just
Yeah.
about money. It's like, yeah.
yeah.
And if you lax on your security, is like, and these guys, you make it onto these guys' radar,
Yeah.
it's just,
Oops.
yeah.
Yeah,
but
and I
hang
think
on.
it's I think it's
Work three
yeah.
weeks a year.
yeah. And I'm sure they get greedy and they're working all the time.
Like they look for opportunities. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure they're constantly looking for opportunities.
Yeah. Right.
But it's the nature of human psychology. Like nothing is enough, right?
That's true. That's true. Another thing that I saw come through during the week is this artificial intelligence technology that can write its own code,
Yeah.
own computer code. And it says the byline is AI can now write its own computer code. That's good news for humans.
How?
But guys, can I be honest with you?
On
Like,
so many levels.
but can I be honest with you guys? Like your basically take on this whole AI development. I know that you know, because you're involved in the industry, that a lot of it is hot air. But let's just say some of it is implemented.
Well,
Some of it on some level is implemented. Like jobs in the future are going to become scarce, right? That's
what
where
for
we're going.
programmers? For programmers?
No, like for everyone.
For everyone, yeah.
Would
No,
that?
we're
No?
just going to have jobs we don't know about today.
Yeah.
So do you think we're going to
Think
have?
about a lot of the IT jobs today didn't exist 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's
No,
true.
it's
It's just
true.
going to evolve.
That's true. No, and I think it's not only limited to this kind of tech industry. I mean, there are services, products that will be created that other people will use to generate money, and one would be YouTube. I mean, when YouTube came out, people weren't saying, "Oh, this is a new career for me. This is how I'm going to be able to make money.
That's
I'm
true.
going to become an influencer, you know, and I'm going to have 3 million views, and I'm going to make a living
Content.
off
Content
content
producer.
creation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, those were the, you know, like to do that, you had to be a cable TV station or so. Yeah, definitely. I think they're going to be new careers or new jobs or new things that people are going to be able to do. I think we had this conversation the other day about
Did we?
you know, like automated vehicles on mines and replacing those people. Didn't we have a conversation and saying, okay, well, what's going to happen to those guys? These people that, and I think I was saying, okay, well, then it's a social responsibility by the company. It's implementing these sort of disruptive technologies to then re-skill their people to do other jobs in the business. And yeah, you can have the argument, well, okay, not everyone's equipped to do that. They might not have the education background or that kind of thing for you to be able to reskill them into something like that. Yeah, look, I think it's I suppose, put it this way, I don't think it's a new problem, because I think every advancement in something, the Industrial Revolution or now the Information Revolution or whatever it is, always displaces some people. You know, like think about farming. Like you bring in automated harvesters and planters and all that kind of stuff, and you're going, well, you've just replaced all these people that used to plant and pick all the fruit and all that kind of stuff. Okay, but I mean the reality is that, you know, they can be reskilled and do something else. I know not everyone can be, but I would hope that from a social responsibility point of view, that companies that are in the position to implement these technologies will make an effort to reskill these people.
So I'm curious, Lester, what's your take? I mean, you live in a slightly different world. You live
First
in
world country.
you live in UK. You live in UK, right? So like, how do you see this, from where you're sitting?
Yes, we are going to see a lot more of this. The Internet of Things and AI, you know, together, we're still seeing how these technologies can work together to make our lives easier. And there is a consequence to that. And yes, we will have an easier life and a more automated life. But yeah, we are going to see a lot of changes. The self-driving cars is going to be interesting. You know, I mentioned last week how we're short of drivers. We can't get our goods from one side of the country to the other. And everyone's going, oh, all these drivers are going to lose their job. We don't have enough already. So it's going to be a while before it has an impact. But when it does, it's going to be a gradual thing. Yes, there's new tech that's advertised on a regular basis, which makes our lives easier. But it's introduced. It's not necessarily adopted straight away. It's a gradual thing. People are very finicky. Don't trust something they don't understand. So it takes a while for it to warm up. The technologies behind cell phones, when that came out, everyone was like, oh, that's cool. But really, did we jump on it? Oh, it was expensive. The quality wasn't that great. So over time, it just gets better. You know, just looking at the mining industry, I was just thinking when you were talking about it. Yeah, so all these heavy-duty underground machines that we use to manipulate the minerals that we have in the earth. Yeah, they have drivers, and theoretically, if these become automated machines, they'll be far more precise. It's less risky to life, less accidents, and that's what the mines want. They don't want people dying. That's bad press, and they want an efficient, safe environment. So the drivers, we may not have jobs for drivers for those machines. However, they still break down. You know, they are electrically driven in many cases. Those cables still get run over or get damaged. We still need the same fitters and electricians that we have today, and we will do for some time. And those drivers can be repurposed as and reskilled. I think overall the business is happy because they have a far more efficient and safer environment, and the outputs could be bigger and better. And I don't think it changes their workforce numbers, that is. So it's going to take a while for any of these little things really to take hold, and everyone goes, "It's fantastic," but we're not early adopters by nature.
Yeah.
But from your perspective, right? So if this change is going to happen, even on a gradual level, do you think that will lead to the change in the education system in terms of education system sort of like realigning to bring in these new skills on board?
I think it's imperative that they
Yeah.
do. I think creative thinking is probably going to be a more sought after skill than a technical, like academic ability.
Okay, that's a really good point. But like,
Yeah.
how would you define creativity?
Well, I suppose creativity is the ability to take a problem and find a new solution for it.
Okay.
I suppose creativity has got many definitions, but
Yeah.
yeah, I would say it's the ability to think differently, out of the box, or lateral thinking, I suppose, is terminology that has been used in the past. And I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. We talk about old movies and all that. Think about previous thought leaders.
Yeah.
So like in the 90s, like when I first started working, you would go to a management training course and they would be like, okay, these are books that you should read. You need to read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits by Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
And you need to read Lateral Thinking and the 6 Thinking Hats by Edward de Bono. Right?
Did you also read those?
They ring bells. Yeah.
They
Okay.
ring bells.
Okay, so you
But
remember
what
those.
I'll tell you what I find very interesting about this is that their concepts get regurgitated into a new way of thinking. So I was thinking, been listening to some podcasts where they're talking about consciousness and the brain and how the brain works and and all the stuff that goes, and they go down to the quantum mechanics and the biology and all that kind of stuff at the cell level. But they're talking about creativity in a lot of these kind of, conversations. And the things that I hear, I say, oh, yeah, that makes, because, often when you hear these things, you say, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, I understand that can be true because, like, at some level, you've got an understanding that that's the way it works. But then when I hear these guys talking, it sounds like they're saying something new, but I'm saying, but hang on a second. That's what Stephen Covey used to say. Wait, hang on a second. That's what Edward de Bono used to say. I mean,
So
have you heard of Edward de Bono?
No. But you're seeing this like silver thread running through the conversation.
Well, Edward de Bono, what I'm saying is that the whole idea of creativity
Yeah.
and its impact on the world is not a new thing, right? But the conversation has recently changed, not changed, but I'm hearing more and more people talking about creativity, and that's the way that the world's going to be going because of the sort of like automation and all that kind of stuff. And, you're not going to need as many doctors and as many lawyers and as many mechanical engineers and all that kind of stuff, because a lot of this stuff can be automated now through AI and software and, models and all that kind of stuff. That all of a sudden the sort of like creative, someone with creative ability is a person that's going to succeed in the future.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of jobs that are going to succeed. And if you look at what's happening, and we're talking about YouTube and content creators, and what are these people doing? They're being creative.
Yeah,
people
But,
that
like,
are
there's some amazing talent. Like you can see, it's like very often, because it's like it's a relatively new industry. I know it's like 10 years down the line, we're saying it's a relatively new industry, but it's a relatively new industry in the context of, I don't know, the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no formal training for it. I mean, these are guys that are figuring out by themselves what works, what doesn't.
Yeah.
No,
it's true.
Okay,
what-
take a step back. I mean, when we were going to school, Andrew and I, the guidance counselor and all the stuff was available to then was of no relevance to what we've ended up doing. So the schooling system then just becomes a fundamental baseline knowledge around reading and writing and arithmetic and general sciences and general knowledge, so that you can build on that when you start focusing. I think the question then becomes more, how do we identify early enough what characteristics this individual has and what is of interest to them, and how can we hone their skills? rather than wait perhaps until it's too late, because you get a lot of 17, 18-year-olds who go, why am I doing this stuff? It's of no interest to me. I don't see how I'm going to use it in life. I'm just wasting 2 years of my life.
Yeah.
Can we not get more focused earlier on the things that do interest me?
Well,
I think we'll start seeing a bit more evolution on that front.
yeah, but I mean, think about it now. I mean, we've realized that, I mean, there are a couple of revelations. Revelations that
I
the
have a
coffee's
reservation.
like starting to wear off.
Yeah.
I need another cup of coffee. There are quite a few things that we've now, in the last, say, 10 or 15 years, have learned about the brain that we previously thought wasn't possible. So neuroplasticity is one of the things that they've discovered. Okay, and what that is they thought that okay, you got to a certain age, like 25 or 30, and your brain stopped growing and changing and whatever. And they were thought, okay, you get to that and that's it. Your brain doesn't create new neural pathways and all that kind of stuff. Now they've since realized that there is this thing called neuroplasticity, which means that you can learn a new skill and all that kind of stuff. So they say when you get to a certain age, there's certain activities that you can do that can enhance your neuroplasticity. And one of them would be, say, like learning to play an instrument or learning a new language. Now, traditionally, those kind of skills, you would have thought, well, you had to start early. Like you had to learn to play an instrument when you were 10 or 12, or you had to learn a new language. To learn a new language, you had to be 5 or 6 or that kind of thing. And there are some people that learn new languages, but generally you thought that, well, those were kind of skills that you had to do early in life because of the fact that you had this limitation with your brain that after a certain age you can't learn new skills broadly, right? But now they've learned that that's not the case, right? So like in your 30s or 40s, you can go and have a complete career change, become a YouTuber, or become this creative person, learn a new instrument, learn a new language, learn a new skill. I mean, there are people, like you hear of people that like in their 50s decided, okay, they're going to go back to varsity. And then for the next 5 or 10 years, and at the age of 60, they finished their PhD. That was traditionally the kind of thing that you thought that you had to do when you were in your 20s.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't have the ability to do it later in life, probably because we're living longer and all that kind of stuff. But, where I'm going with that conversation is, right, at the school level, should we not rather be giving the people the tools and the skills to go and, like tenacity as an example, as a life skill, that failure is okay, that that you can try things and fail and try something else and get up and whatever. Whereas I mean, like at school, we were just taught academic stuff, maths, science, whatever. What's to say, like if you change the schooling system completely and you only taught them life skills, whether it's like these, like, what's the right word that I'm trying for, like social skills, being able to interact and have relationships, and like the kind of things that we, like in our 30s and 40s, we go to a psychologist and we try and unpack all the shit that's happened in our lives or whatever. And then you realize, okay, you develop these skills on how to cope with life and, whatever it is.
But you had to figure out by yourself.
Yeah,
right?
well, you had to figure out and you had to hit rock bottom, and then you had to go get some help. Imagine if you were given those skills when you were in your teens, right? And then when you get to your 20s and your 30s, you then start finding out the things that interest you and then go and learn.
Is it not too heavy for a teenager, though?
Well,
I mean, you're already going through changes. You're already coming to terms with different facets of your life, and your hormones are changing, your emotions are changing, you're adapting as you grow. Is it not an overload? I just the other part of this. The other part of this is it used to be society that used to teach you how to cope on the softer skills, on the emotional side, the psychological.
Your parents would teach
your
you.
Community, your
church.
Your church, all of those things. But
There's
now
a lot of support structures in place,
exactly.
I don't think they were
anymore.
I don't think they were good enough.
I don't think so either.
Like
I think that
if
was
I
even
look at
before our time.
Yeah. No, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is the kind of skill, the kind of things that you learn by bashing your head in life, right? You can think back, if only someone had taught me this kind of stuff when I was younger, that maybe I would have made different decisions in life. I wouldn't have got stuck in a job that I didn't like. I went and studied for 3 or 4 years for a career that, I didn't really want to do. I didn't know what to do when I left school. And, why not change that and make it more about creating the creative skills, teaching people about creativity and lateral thinking and doing lots of those kind of activities to enhance that. And then when they go out into the world and then they can start playing with stuff. Okay, do I want to be an architect? Do I want to be an artist? Do I want to be a YouTuber? Do I want to become a computer programmer? And then study. Like maybe, let's say you just decided to start studying at 30 and you went and did your first degree at 30.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's the right way. I'm not saying. I'm just asking because Lester brought it up. Is the school system set up for preparing people for the future? I don't think so. Like if I think about my eldest daughter who was in high school and she's at a good school but it's all academic. Like you got to get the marks. You got to do maths and science and that kind of thing. Where's the soft skills? Where's the teaching people to be assertive and teaching people to be creative and I don't know. I just like if I think back for me, I was like just like you were in this box. It was like the academic box, and you had to go to school and you had to go and study after school, and then you had to go get a job. Right? I wish I could. I don't have many regrets, but I just wish I could turn the dial back on that, turn the clock back on that, and just redo it in a different way.
Okay, Lester, and on your side,
I'm not talking anymore. I've got
what's
verbal
your
diarrhea.
thoughts about that?
No, he's right. We're conditioned in a certain way, and this is part of history, and that's the culture at the time. Is you will go to school and you'll be the best at what you do. You would take the tough subjects because they will help you in the future without even thinking about the future. You will be the top of your class. You will go out, you will go to university, you'll be the best at that. You will then go and get a job, and it will be the best job, and you will do your best at everything. That is the society that we grew up in.
Yeah.
And those pressures are there from an early age. And that's a good thing. You need that sort of push to try and excel and be the best you can be. But if it's only focusing on academic stuff, we've missed a point. Because then we become socially inept. And I think that's where we have people, kids suffering with stress because they're under all this pressure to excel and succeed, and they can't. They're burning themselves out.
And I guess that's what basically driving a lot of like young teenagers towards drug addiction and alcohol abuse and substance abuse
or people
issues.
just give up and just go, you know what, I can't be bothered with this, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I just know this is not right. But there's not really a support structure for that, because the only structure that there was, and possibly still is your home life, your community, your friends. Everything reinforces the fact that we're here to learn the norm, academics, be the best. Pressure. It's reinforced.
So my question is, do you think, let's just call it technological revolution that we're going through, right? Do you think it's going to alleviate the problem or make it worse?
I don't think that's going to make a difference. I think what's going to make a difference is people like the Bearded Fen who have children. He doesn't want them to go through what he went through. He knows what he wanted back in the day that he missed. He's now going to make a change to his environment, make sure his children are better supported.
Yeah.
So they are better able to cope and stay. Yes, of course, there's going to be teenage angst, and that doesn't go away. But you're steering, and it's a different type of support structure.
Yeah.
That's the point that I think we're trying to get to is how it's a different environment, regardless of the technology around us. But if you are nurtured in a different way, you're able then to be more creative, perhaps.
Yeah.
Not everybody's creative, but
Yeah.
if just doing academic pressure through all those years of learning, you kind of, unless you took art, you kind of strangled. You can't be creative because that's not what you're supposed to do.
And I think also the perception that being creative is about being an artist, about being a painter, or about being a musician.
Yeah.
Creativity is not that. Creativity, you use creativity every day of your life.
Yep.
You're faced with a problem, you've got to come with a solution, and you come up with a solution, right?
Yep.
That's creative thinking. But a lot of the time, our brains are in this like sort of pattern kind of thing. So in other words, we're running on autopilot, our subconscious, our habits, and all that kind of stuff. We're running on that 90% of the time.
Yep.
It's an effort. And the reason why you do that is because your brain is trying to conserve energy.
Yeah.
I mean, like the typical thing, like when you really been working and thinking and wrecking a problem and everything, yes, by the end of the day, you've whacked.
Yeah, yeah.
And the reason is because you're consuming more energy and that kind of stuff. And your brain naturally wants to run on autopilot because it requires less energy to do that, right? And creativity is trying to break that cycle. Because, you know, the thing is that we pattern orientated, right? So when you're faced with a particular problem, the first thing that we rely on is our experience. Like, you know what I mean? And the way that you look at something is through the lens of the experience that you've had. It's only really when you get to a situation where you can't sort something out with your experience that you now have to take a step back and say, okay, I need to think of this in a different way. And that's when you've now got to turn your creative brain on. And I think a lot of the time we don't know how to do that.
Mm. And also another thing to keep in mind is that in a lot of the cases, like everyone will come up with a slightly different solution to the same problem.
Well, and that's what should be encouraged.
Yep.
In my view.
Yep.
I mean, like when you're in these creative sessions where they brainstorming.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, like, what do? I think one of the best techniques is to say, hey, listen, let's come up with the worst idea that we can come up with. Because you create an environment where people can come up with the weirdest and wackiest. Because a lot of time especially when you're in a group setting, people are a little bit reluctant to put out an idea there because, it might be stupid. People,
and then
what
are
are
judged,
Yeah, what are people going to think of me? And maybe that's the So what you do is you create a platform and say, hey, listen, let's come up with the weirdest and wackiest, the worst ideas. Let's see who can come up with the worst idea on how to fix this problem.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're actually allowing people the goal is to come up with the worst idea.
Yeah.
Right. So
you can't be judged.
Yeah, you can't be judged because
yeah.
that was and I mean, that's one of the ways of trying to break that sort of thinking. And anyway, but yeah, I do think that, and you know what? I am my own worst enemy. Lester alluded to the fact that, hey, I'm going to try and teach my kids to think. Hey, can you see that? Right? And I bought this book many, many years ago, and I don't think I've actually ever read it.
You serious?
Yeah.
But you moved out.
My intentions were good. My intentions were good.
Your intentions were there.
Yeah. So this is Edward de Bono.
It's the thought that counts.
It's the thought.
So
Excuse the pun.
Can I tell you guys about my experience, right? So when I came to South Africa, I finished school, and then basically based on my at that time knowledge and skill sets, I was like, I'm gonna go do BSc in computer science. It's like I didn't even consider anything else, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm
Why?
gonna do.
Was that because everybody was getting into computer science, and that was?
I was really good at it. I was like, okay, let me leverage on my strong points. I was really good with analytical stuff, and it's like, at that time, career counselors like, no, dude, you gotta go into this, you know. And then I was like, okay, let me go into this, and finished my degree. Went to work for one of the big South African software companies. Spent about 3 years there, maybe 3.5. Then I was like, this is not for me, man. Like, I can't do this. Like, this is like killing me, man. I can't do this for the next like five, not even a year. And then I went back to university, did my second degree. But it was really hard at that start. At that
Lucky
stage.
you had an opportunity to go and study, to be able to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was very, very like lucky, because it's like a lot of my friends at that stage were saying, it's like, oh, dude, like, you have a great job. Like, why do you like want to like go and spend another like 4 years of your life in university? And I was like, think about it. Like,
I love the student life.
besides that, it's like, you know, I can actually do it. You know, it's like, what are the chances I can actually do it? I can actually go do something completely different. And I went and did it.
Dude, what company do you work for? NTT. Is it a Japanese company or is it?
Yes.
So this guy, this is Edward de Bono. His instruction in thinking has been sought by many leading business corporations in the world, such as IBM, NTT, DuPont, Prudential, Shell, Ericsson, McKinsey's, I don't know, what's it, Sibo, Geigy, and Ford, and many others.
Wow.
But number 2 on the list. Yeah.
Yeah, number 2 on the list. Anyway, so, you know, I just find it quite interesting that, you know, like the conversation, because of the way that the world is going, is that this conversation has come around and started talking about creativity and that kind of thing again. And I mean, you know, that this guy in 1969 was the founder of Cognitive Research, a Cognitive Research Trust, and the International Creative Forum that brings together many of the leading organizations in the world. You know, like, I almost feel that this guy was ahead of his time. People didn't see the need for this kind of thing because, hey, you become a lawyer, a doctor, whatever. You need creativity.
It was the 60s that they did a lot of this kind of stuff, though. That's when it came to the fore.
Yeah.
You know, after the
That's
war,
because they could
people
use
were rechecking
psychedelics,
themselves.
But I think the education system, right, on itself, like, has been going through continuous evolution for the last 50 years, because initially it was like designed to train factory workers, right?
Yeah.
Then it basically was designed to train office workers. Then it's designed to train, hopefully it will evolve to be designed to train people to, you know, be successful in the technological environment we're going to live in over the next like 10, 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, do you think, I mean, he has a bit of a side thing from the left field, right field, whichever way you want to call it.
Side field.
Okay, so we're talking about creativity and studying and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the advent of something like Google as a search engine. I mean, there was this narrative at one stage that, Google's making us stupid because every time you want to know something, what do? You Google it. Do you think people have stopped pushing themselves in terms of thinking about how to solve a problem because of the fact that they can just pick up their phone and go, hey, Siri?
Not really. I don't think that's changed. I think what Google and different search engines have changed is like how we access the information, how quickly we can access the information that we need.
Quick learning and reaffirmed learning.
Yeah, sure.
That we need to actually solve the problem. I don't think it's going to solve the problems for us. Or maybe I'm wrong. In 20 years' time, you guys can call me out on that. But
yeah, I'm going to make a note on my phone.
I think it's check that. Yeah, we'll bring that up in episode 4786. But I think there's still down to your personality. I mean, yes, there's a lot of information now available to us to enable us to make the right decisions, to give us information faster, to have a better decision-making process. But at the same time, there's people that just tell me how I want to, just tell me what I need to do and how I need to do it. I don't have to think.
But there's also that.
There's a YouTube video for that.
But there's also that. There's also that. So like you have a lot of different options, like regardless how you learn and how better you learn. There's like YouTube is really great for the visual learners, the people who like learn visually, right? There's also a lot of like blogs and basically like group posts and threads where you can actually read. So it's like, so if people absorb information easier by just reading it and processing it like that, there's also that. So it's like, this is really a lot of options. And like at the moment, right, what you like need to figure out is like, how do you get to the information that you need quicker, right? Because there's only so much the search engine can do for you. It can give you all the relevant content, but you still need to sift through that content and just get to the bottom of what you want to squeeze out of it.
No, I agree. But I look at my kids, and I mean, I think back to when I was their age, and I think, shit, imagine if I had access to the YouTube then. Imagine all the things that I would have done. The kind of things that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Like my hobbies, and the things that I would call them creative things that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoy. Like one always wants to try and monetize them, but I'm just thinking, like, back in our day when you wanted to learn something, you had to go to the library and get a book that was like 10 years old, and if you lived in Witbank, geez, dude, you only got the new books were actually already outdated by the time they hit the library in Joburg. I mean, in Witbank. But what I'm saying is that, and there my kids are, they've got time in their hands. They've got the YouTube. They've got all these resources available to them, and they're not utilizing it in that way. I
know you're gonna say that.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if like
TikTok.
Well, yeah, TikTok. But no. I mean, just take an example of someone sitting on the couch watching YouTube of another person playing Minecraft. Like, for me, that's like you wasting your time.
Yeah.
Either you playing the game yourself. I can understand that you're going to watch something to get better at you, but it blows my mind that some dude can earn $15 million US dollars a year streaming him playing Minecraft, as an example. And there are X amount of people that are millions of watching him concurrently while he's doing that. Okay. Right.
But maybe it's not just about Minecraft. Maybe it's like, give the credit to the guy. Maybe it's like how he packages that content.
No, I understand that. But the person that's watching it, like, my question to them is, why are you not the person that's streaming and people watching you? Why are you the watcher? At what point do you become the streamer?
Yeah.
Like, at what point do you stop watching those videos and watch something that makes you better at something that you enjoy doing, whether it's whether it's making content, becoming a better photographer, or a better writer.
Let's turn this on you. So you wanted to get into the world of podcasting. So you would have spent a lot of time on YouTube and other things, looking at it, going, "Is this for me? Is this something that interests me? I'm going to watch more and more and more and more of this on YouTube." To get a handle on it, to see how I would do it if I was going to do it. Maybe she's still learning.
No. Well,
maybe she's trying to figure out. Maybe it leads to something else.
Yeah, okay, but let's talk about that. Okay, so there was a stage. No, there was a stage that I was like heavy into podcasts, like listening to podcasts.
Yeah, I actually remember.
And then
you were also doing your podcast.
No. That was before I was doing my podcast. Okay. But then I was like, hey, I really like this kind of format. I would like to be able to do something myself. Okay, and then okay, what am I going to do it about and whatever. And then I realized, okay, well, why don't I just do what I'm doing? I'm going riding bikes, meeting new people, watching live music. I'm interested in their stories. I'm having conversations with them on the bike ride or the breakfast run or after the live show. Why don't I take those conversations that I'm having and make that into a podcast? Great, I did that. Right, so I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it for at least a year. I'm not going to spend too much money on equipment until such time I see that it's going to go to another level, and so on and so on and so on. I don't listen to as many podcasts as I used to. So I'd like to believe that I'm the person that started out listening to podcasts, listening to how people structure their podcasts, learn some of the stuff, went and understood, okay, what's the best equipment? what software to use, okay,
How to do it,
how to
yeah.
edit stuff, and I like this podcast, and that's why I used to watch the daily talk show in Australia.
they make money from all of their podcasts. And so
Yeah,
is it
well-
the same as the Mimecast thing?
I don't know. I don't know. No, but I mean, the thing is, what I'm saying is
But
that
I think the key, right, where
Yeah.
Leicester's going, right?
Yes.
So I'm just gonna
jump in there, play
jump
devil's
in
advocate.
and interject. I
Yeah.
think the reason why you were watching the Daily Show podcast is not like it was for you to learn about the industry and how the content is packaged,
Yes.
but it's also because you enjoyed it.
No, I did enjoy it. I definitely did. No, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's what I'm saying.
It's entertaining.
No, it's
At the
entertaining,
same
and I
time as
enjoyed
learning,
it.
yeah.
But I was also learning. Okay, this is how they're doing stuff. This is the equipment they're using. I could drop them a mail and say, "Hey, listen, what software were you using there to stream to Instagram?" And they say, "Oh, we're using Yellow Duck." Okay, cool. Thanks very much. Next time we did
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
I tried Yellow Duck and all that kind of stuff. So I'd like to believe that I started out sitting on the couch watching YouTube podcasts, and then one day I said, "Okay, now it's my turn to do it."
Thank you, Google.
Thank you, Google. Yeah.
Thank you, Google.
Yeah.
On
Anyway,
that note,
on that note, I'm going to read these two books
after you watch Tenant,
after I've watched Tenant. Yeah.
Not
In that case,
before.
I ain't going to be reading
Absolutely
these
not
books.
before.
Anyway, so yeah, oddly enough, Edward de Bono, I'm just reading here. He passed away on the 9th of June this year.
wow, that's
He was-
like literally like a few months ago.
Yeah, he was actually born in 1933 on the 19th
Wow.
of May. He lived in Malta. He came from Malta. So he was a physician, psychologist, author, inventor, philosopher, and consultant. He invented the term lateral thinking. Yeah. And he had these 6 thinking hats. Do you know what the 6 thinking hats are, Lester? Pop quiz. So they're colors.
The first thing that came to mind was that hat in Harry Potter. Which house are you from? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so if I say to you the white hat, what does the white hat
mate.
represent?
Oh no, let's not go down this rabbit
Okay,
hole.
so let me just say what the definition of the 6 thinking hats is. Okay, it's a method to use to amplify the creative conversations by making sure that a broad variety of viewpoints and thinking styles are represented. Using 6 roles, or the hats, the framework developed by Edward de Bono allows teams to more easily structure abstract thinking for productive results. So the 6 thinking hats are the white hat. This is the objective hat. So in other words, it focuses on facts and logic. Then you have the red hat, which is the intuitive hat, focusing on emotion and instinct. The black hat, which is the cautious hat, used to predict negative outcomes. The yellow hat is the optimistic hat. It's used for looking for positive outcomes. And then the green hat is the creative hat, where ideas are abundant and criticism is sparse. And then the blue hat, which is the hat of control used for management organization. And the whole idea was that you would say to everyone, okay, listen, we're going to put on our black hat.
Yeah.
And so that would be the cautious hat. And we're going to try and find all the negative things. So like we were talking about, okay, let's come up with the worst ideas that you can come up with.
Yeah.
What's not going to work?
Or what are the most the worst negative outcomes?
Yeah, sure, exactly. And then so on. Yeah. So yeah, I haven't looked at this for years, but anyway, I think this kind of stuff is going to make a comeback. And I think these are the kind of things that they should be teaching kids in school. These kind of skills, social skills and creative skills. Because I mean, creative. Often
as
people
part
think,
of a foundation of knowledge,
Yeah.
which is not just academic.
yeah, just not academic. Yeah.
So they
mean,
can
like you
see
take,
how
for
to
instance-
apply the thinking, apply themselves.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a steering.
Yeah. I mean, like if you take, like in this day and age, you have, like when we were at school, you used to have high grade, standard grade, lower grade, right? Now they don't have that. They have, like when you're talking about maths, they would have what is known as maths core. and then you would have maths literacy. Now, maths literacy would be, I suppose, what we would have called standard grade.
Yeah.
And basically what they learn there are practical mathematics for life. Budget, compound interest, that kind of ratios and that kind of stuff. The things that we use every day.
Yeah.
I want to work out what my fuel consumption is on my car, or how long is it going to take me to get somewhere if I'm driving at the speed, and that kind of stuff. Obviously, maths core is like, okay, integration, differentiation, or calculus, that kind of stuff. Okay. So, I mean, imagine a world where you only learned the maths core stuff at university level after you had decided that that's the kind of career that you want to follow. I know it sounds a bit weird, but imagine that you only taught maths literacy at school and creative thinking and this kind of stuff. And then if you felt that you wanted to go into an engineering field or a scientific field or whatever, that you went and then learned that kind of stuff then at varsity level. I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I'm not an educator, but I don't know. I sometimes wonder.
So we were in higher grade maths. Did you know that standard grade maths, they learnt about compound interest and those things you've mentioned?
Yes.
It wasn't in the curriculum for higher grade maths.
That's correct. And
I only realized this. I realized this a few years afterwards, and I was like trying to work out some compound interest, and like, oh, this should be pretty easy. And I'm like, hang on. I'm having to teach myself this. Why don't I know this basic stuff?
Yeah. But I suppose the premise there, and I mean, it's still like that. That's why I compared maths literacy to standard grade, because that's what they used to teach them in standard grade, was those kind of practical things. I think the thinking is that someone that's done high grade maths would be able to go work out how to work out compound interest without knowing, okay, this is the formula that you use.
Do they have it so that you do one or the other in South African schools, or can you do both subjects?
I think you do one or the other. It's not. It's not like
that's
you can do
different
both.
to the UK. You can do different types of science, So you could do chemistry and advanced chemistry, or you could do physics, or you could do
and I mean, that's an interesting point, because like my eldest decided to drop physical science or science when she had to choose the subjects, and she went with biology, geography, and maths, lit, and so on. And chatting to her, and I always say to her, listen, if you ever wanted to go into a scientific profession later in life, just understand that you can go back and learn that stuff. Don't ever feel that because you didn't learn it now that you can't, that you screwed. No, it's not the case. It's not the case. But when we were having the conversation, she said to me, I loved chemistry, but I didn't like physics. So imagine if she had the option to say, hey, listen, I only want to do chemistry. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to do physics. And you think about some of the careers that you could go into. If you did biology and you did chemistry. There are specific careers that you can go into that would use only that side of, they wouldn't use physics, Newton's law and that kind of stuff. But they would be chemistry, like organic chemistry as an example, especially when it comes to biological stuff. And it's interesting that Leicester says that that's how they do it in the UK, or that you have that option in the UK.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think maybe if my daughter had the option, she might have just said, okay, I'll continue with chemistry. And it's so weird. I hated chemistry in school.
Yeah.
And I went and I studied chemistry. And guess what? I loved it.
Go figure.
But I think it was... But I know we're going on here, but I think what's really changed it for me was that day that I had to work it out myself. In other words, I had to put in the effort to actually understand what this is. So what happened was I went and I did my sort of national diploma in analytical chemistry, and then I was doing my national high diploma in chemistry, and I had to do that part-time because I had a job, I was working, but fortunately the company gave me the time off to go, and so I would go to lectures. And I failed 2 subjects, right? So I had to redo them. But because of the way that the Technikon worked, in the last 6 months of I couldn't go to lectures for it because I had to go to lectures for the other subjects, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't have lectures because the lectures were on the same day. So I couldn't go to both, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So those 2 subjects that I was repeating, I had to teach myself, right? So in other words, I had to sit at home and say, okay, I've got this exam in 4 or 5 months. Okay, now, I've done the subject before, but I had to sit down and fucking work out, okay. And then what I did is, like, things I didn't understand, on the days that I was there for my other lectures, for the other subjects, I would then go to the lecturer and say, hey, listen, I was looking at this. And what it had forced me to do is that I had to have a study plan, sit down and systematically go through things like find example past papers or other books, chemistry books that had questions and answers at the back, and actively go through that process of saying, okay, try and work out what didn't I understand, so that when I was there at the Technikon, I had the opportunity to go to the lecture and find out, okay, I don't understand this, explain this to me. And it was then that I realized, like, this is the way that I'm supposed to study.
Yeah,
this is the way.
This works for you.
Yeah, it works for me. But that was so fucking late. It wasn't like
better
at
late
school
than
level.
never.
Yeah, no, better late than never. But what I'm saying is that that wasn't the way that we did it at school.
Yeah.
That wasn't the way that we were taught how to study at school.
Yeah.
And it was just like I didn't need to go to lectures. That was the point. Theoretically, I didn't need to go to school. If you had just, obviously I probably would have failed, but
Can't read and write.
well, dude, if I think about what we were doing when we were studying for matric exams, it wasn't studying, dude, and we still passed. Don't talk about it.
I'm old, man. I don't remember those days.
Yeah, no. I got a total blank, except for I do remember being down at Witbank Dam the day before we wrote accountancy. Check his ass. Anyway, I digress. But
You digress,
yeah, but what I'm saying is that I think that there is, you can't put all the pupils into the same box in the sort of like education thing. Like when they're in high school, there needs to be some sort of, I don't know what the answer is to it, but the kids need to find out what kind of learner am I? Am I a visual learner? Am I an auditory learner? Do I need to go to class? Don't I need to go to class? I mean, I just found it so boring to go to lectures. Half the time I'd be falling asleep. But
is it because you already knew the content, or you were not interested in the content?
No, it just didn't work for me sitting in a lecture hall. It was like, theoretically, it was a waste of my time. But then the problem was that you would then, I went to lectures today. Now it's the evening. Now you want to go Joel. You want to go and party and whatever. But the reality is, if I'd spent the day that I spent in lectures, if I had spent that day at Res or wherever I was, and I had gone over the same content that they'd gone through in the lectures at my sort of pace, if you want to call it that, and I'd gone through the chapter, and then at the end of the chapter tested myself and then said, okay, I got that right, I got that wrong. Okay, why did I get that wrong? Oh, shit, I actually don't understand that. Okay, let me go to the lecturer, set up an appointment, ask him the question, whatever. I would have done a shitload better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would have actually learnt the shit.
Yeah.
Because I'd like practically did it instead of like, what you laughing at? Like rote learning.
You're getting very emotive about this topic.
He's
I can
getting
tell because you
emotional.
started to
because-
swear.
No, but you know what the thing is? Because the thing is that I suppose sometimes I feel a little bit out of control when it comes to my kids and their education, because I've got no choice but to send them to a school,
Yeah, you have.
right? and I don't have the time for me to, if you know what I mean.
To
I'm like,
homeschool them. Yeah.
yeah, to homeschool them
One thing
or
in the UK is the traditional schools are still around, but actually academies are opening up thick and fast, privately run academies which have a different approach to education, and these are taking on quite fast. So the traditional schools are who have got their traditional methods of around curriculums and how it's taught and what's taught. It's all in competition now with academies who are having people graduate who are more effective. And it does touch on other topics. So I think maybe you'll start seeing the evolution there. And it's not just about whether you got money to send your kid to private school. That's not the barrier here. It's not the finances. It's about, and these things are everywhere. So it's not like they're not round the corner. So I think we'll probably start seeing a bit more of that evolve in South Africa in due course.
Yeah.
And it won't be just exclusive private schools. Going back to the accounting exam, and maybe that's my secret here. Maybe that is because I smashed that accounting exam out the park. I smashed. And the day before, I wasn't studying.
no.
So maybe there's something in that.
Yeah. Yes.
Anyway,
Guys, on that happy note.
Jeez, dude. Sometimes
hour and a
I think we need like a safe word.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Andrew's leaving the reservation, dude. mute.
yeah, I think there's signs there. If you take off your headphones and go to your library and pull out reference and textbooks, I mean that should be a sign that we're going deep.
Yeah.
Oh, there's his mum. What were you doing? We're playing down.
Yeah, no, that wasn't me.
No, that
But I
wasn't.
mean, if you wanted to look at my bookcase, right? Do you want to know what's on my bookcase?
Your library.
My library. The first book there is physical chemistry, then pre-calculus, then inorganic chemistry, pre-calculus, general chemistry, fundamentals of analytical chemistry, software project management.
Wow, that's impressive. I'll be back now.
I mean,
Okay, cool.
you are. I mean, you are epic, mate.
No, dude. The
I mean,
problem is
ask
is
your
that
friends
it's
who you're going to invite to a dinner party. Are they going to? If you were going to throw a dinner party, you can invite anyone. Who would it be? Hang on, let me think about the Bearded Fen and what textbooks he had. Is he going to be engaging?
Yeah. I can't bring myself.
Time you open those textbooks.
Well, this is the thing. I can't bring myself to get rid of the books. And even though I've got the internet at my availability and it's easy to find stuff in it, I still have a thing for books. Even though I battle to read books. I don't know, I suppose it's old age with my eyes and all that kind of stuff. My eyes have...
audio book because it's more.
Yeah, I found the audiobooks work well, but that's great when you're listening to some fiction. It's not great when you're listening to non-fiction. Because generally what happens when you're listening to an
You need to look
audiobook...
at the diagram. Refer to table C.
figure 1.1. Where's the PDF? Yeah, anyway. So why don't you give us a Trumpism there, seeing that...
Well, I think we're running out of time. Just
Yeah.
leave the Trumpisms for a day.
Cool.
Well, I'll give
Anyway,
you one.
that was-
I'll give you one, and it's quite short.
Okay.
This is in a rally in Atlanta, Georgia. All right, so he's at a rally promoting him and his party and getting support. And he just come back from a Europe thing, and he's quoted as saying, "Belgium is a beautiful city." That's it. I don't know what the relevance is, the context is. Belgium is a beautiful city. Well done. Okay. Got my vote.
Well, you didn't do geography at school, but clearly.
Didn't go to Wetbank Dam before his exam, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, well, okay.
There's a couple of births on this. So 11th,
Oh.
this is on this day, obviously 9/11, and it's a day of remembrance in the US. But
That is
also,
true.
there's a Ludacris, the American rapper. He was
Yes.
born today,
Oh, right.
1977.
Okay, cool. Getting old there.
Yeah. Another one to make us feel old. Moby, also his birthday.
Right.
1965.
Yeah, dude, I think we missed. Hey, oh, jeez, my mom's commenting here.
Yeah.
What happened at Whitbank Dam?
Yeah, exactly. Shit.
I think that's a classical comment.
I think I need to. Yeah, no, you should just like start. But you did go like this. You did say, "Don't."
Yeah,
You
I
had
did.
to-
Talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway.
I it's a long time ago. I don't remember what happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I left the reservation. Sorry, guys. I got a bit passionate about some things.
That's good.
At least I got some passion. Just a little bit.
You can cut it into some amazing segment.
I don't know about that. Anyway, Lester. Oleg,
Peace, guys.
thanks for joining.